What if I told you that one of the most impressive quarterback performances of 2025 has gone completely unnoticed? Bo Nix has turned into a fourth quarter machine, constantly coming up clutch for his team and sticking them first in a loaded AFC West as a result. Game-winning drives are just another day at the office for this guy, and a stacked defense on the other side of the ball means the Broncos are eyeing up a Super Bowl run. But if you listen to the national media, you wouldn't believe it. From the shade thrown at him during the draft to the unappreciated success he's having now, let's find out why nobody respects Bo Nix. Bo Nix was selected by the Denver Broncos 12th overall in the 2024 draft as the 6th and final quarterback taken in the first round. Despite a solid college career that saw him feature for both the Auburn Tigers and Oregon Ducks, this selection was widely seen as a reach by the Broncos.
I hate this pick. To me, Bo Nix was a third-round guy.
Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, a guaranteed bust.
They gave a quarterback close to $90 million to go away, and then in my opinion and others, they massively overdrafted.
This is also as simple as they were desperate?
He better strike gold with Bo Nix.
He was seen by most analysts as a mid-round pick who lacked the elite arm, decision-making, and range of passes in his arsenal to succeed at the highest level. Critics gladly summed this up as a desperate move by Denver to make up for the messy Russell Wilson saga. But once the 2024 season was well underway, it became clear that Nix was more ready for the pro game than any analyst had expected. He started the season opener, becoming the first Broncos rookie quarterback since John Elway to do so. Despite struggling in his first two starts, Nix grew into his role as the QB1 of the future for the Broncos and steadily began showing a poise and playmaking ability that allowed Denver to be competitive in games. Nix had his breakout performance in Week 5 against the Raiders, where he contributed 3 total touchdowns and no turnovers in a near-flawless game, helping the Broncos to a 34-18 win. From there, Nix didn't look back, continuing to build on his performances as the Broncos just got better and better. By the season's end, Nix was outshining many of his peers in the 2024 class, with the one exception being the tremendous performances of Jayden Daniels, who would go on to win Offensive Rookie of the Year honors, with Nix finishing in third place. Nix finished the 2024 season with 3,775 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, leading the Broncos to a 10-7 record and a wild card appearance. Over the course of the season, he displayed great chemistry with his receiving corps, particularly with Courtland Sutton, and proved himself as a quarterback capable of making the right decisions under pressure and keeping the Broncos in games when their backs were against the wall. Despite all of the criticism of Nix's selection at 12th overall, he proved himself to be one of the shrewdest picks in the draft, and it looked like the Broncos had their quarterback of the future. But while receiving some praise for his performances, Nix's impressive rookie campaign was completely overshadowed by Jayden Daniels' breakout season. Therefore, he was largely forgotten by the national media. Nevertheless, the Broncos' promising 2024 campaign meant that they entered 2025 with new expectations. Their eyes were now trained on a Super Bowl, and they did not hesitate to improve their roster so they could build on that success. They added some firepower to the defense in free agency, recruiting the likes of Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, adding some veteran leadership to what was an already impressive unit. On offense, the Broncos acquired tight end Evan Ingram and running back J.K. Dobbins in free agency, while also adding running back R.J. Harvey and receiver Pat Bryant via the draft. These new additions provided some depth and additional weapons to allow Nix to take that next step. Now, the Broncos were contenders, and the organization wanted to ensure that their young franchise quarterback would have all the tools to continue his development. Nix would be entering the 2025 season with new expectations compared to those of 2024. He had to back up his stellar rookie season and prove that it wasn't just a fluke, and that he had the game to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. But despite how impressive Nix was in his first season and the hype machine that was beginning to form around the Broncos going into 2025, not everyone was sold on Nix being the guy to take Denver to that next level.
My favorite under of the season is the Broncos this year. I think they're going to end up being the worst team in that division. I think that the Chargers in the second year under Harbaugh should be a good regular season team. If they make the playoffs, I think we know what to expect from Justin Herbert in that spot at this point, but that doesn't matter. You guys know I think the Raiders will be vastly improved. People think that I need to admit I was wrong about Bo Nix. I think it's going to be a glorious category too. But The older, experienced, low-ceiling, high-floor quarterbacks that look good in year one don't always take that big jump in year two.
The season got off to a good start with a solid, if not overly convincing victory over the Tennessee Titans. They then dropped their next two games by a combined 4 points to two very good football teams in the Indianapolis Colts and Los Angeles Chargers. Nick struggled slightly in weeks 1 and 3, but against the Colts, he had one of the best performances of his young career, throwing for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception in the close loss. But with the expectation placed on Nix and the Broncos going into the season, beginning with a 1-2 record was not going to cut it for the critics. And pretty soon, talking heads were beginning to criticize the young quarterback and questioning whether he had already begun to hit his talent ceiling.
Shines. Yeah. And as I watch Bo Nix, because he had 61 college starts, John, he came into this league very close to his ceiling. And I think we've seen it. And as I watch them today, my takeaway is this is what he is.
However, not very long later, things began to click. Not just for Nix, but for the whole Broncos team, as they would go on to win their next 3 games, bringing their record to 4-2 after week 6. This stretch included a dominant win against the Bengals and an impressive win against the defending Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia. Nix's numbers were also clearly improving during this 3-game stretch, throwing for over 200 yards in 2 of the 3 games and contributing 5 total touchdowns to just 1 turnover. Nix was back to his poised performances, and as a result, the Broncos suddenly were back to looking like one of the best teams in the league. But the seismic shift happened in week 7, when the Broncos took on the New York Giants in Denver. Denver got off to a horrible start, looking like they were back to their worst form from earlier in the season. They failed to get any momentum going and were shut out for the first 3 quarters of the game, while the Giants got off to a commanding 19-0 lead. With the 4th quarter starting and their backs against the wall, this was the moment where Nix had to step up and lead his team back into this game. They did just that, with Nix driving them down the field quickly and getting the touchdown and a 2-point conversion to go along with it. The Giants then responded with a touchdown of their own, but the Broncos kept their heads down and drove the length of the field once again, using 13 plays to get them another touchdown, rushed in by Nix. This was followed by yet another 2-point conversion. After some help from the defense in the form of a Jackson Dart interception, the Broncos were on the scoreboard once again, bringing the game within 3 points with just under 4 minutes left. Then, on their next drive, Nix got the job done with his legs, rushing in a touchdown that would give his team the lead for the very first time. He had done it. Bo Nix had willed this team back into the game and led an incredible 4th quarter comeback, or so they thought. The Giants somehow marched all the way downfield, overcoming a seemingly impossible 4th and 19, before going on to score what could well have been the game-winning touchdown with just 31 seconds left on the clock. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't meant to be for these plucky Broncos after all. Except a lifeline. New York's kicker missed the extra point, meaning Denver were just 1 field goal away from stealing the win. Cue some more clutch play from Nix. He marched his boys downfield to set up a 39-yard field goal for Will Lutz. Lutz converted, and just like that, Bo Nix had the most incredible win of his young career. He finished the game with a stat line of 279 passing yards and 4 total touchdowns, 2 passing and 2 rushing. He showed an incredible calmness under pressure and willingness to keep fighting despite going through a brutal opening 3 quarters. This was his breakout moment, the one that fans and analysts will look to in the future as the moment he established himself and proved that he belongs. Nix followed this up with his most complete performance of the season in a dominant win over the Cowboys, throwing for 247 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Then, 1 week later, 2 sumptuous touchdown passes against a daunting Houston Texans defense helped make it 6 wins on the bounce. The Broncos were flying, and Nix was leading them there. After week 9, Nix had a very tidy 1,976 passing yards with 17 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. It hasn't always been pretty, but with the way he has turned things around, there is a very high chance Nix storms past his rookie numbers come the end of the season. With Nix leading the way, the the Broncos seem to finally be delivering on all the hopes placed on them in the offseason. They are currently sitting pretty atop the AFC West, leading the Chiefs and Chargers, and look like serious playoff contenders. Now, fans have got their eyes trained firmly on a Super Bowl run. The offense is up there with the best in the league, ranking in the top 10 for total yards and points scored. Nix himself is also amongst the best in the league statistically, ranking in the top 10 for yards and in the top 5 for touchdowns. But it's not just the offense contributing to success in Denver this season. The defense can also make a claim to being one of the best units in the league. They have been effective in red zone situations and are delivering a 27.7% pressure rate, which is second best in the NFL. They have proven themselves capable of winning close games and have limited big mistakes that cost them down the stretch last year. Sean Payton has built a well-rounded unit that can win games on both sides of the field, and they look like a team made for the postseason. They find themselves in one of the most competitive divisions in football, featuring perennial Super Bowl contenders in the Chiefs and a strong team with good coaching in the Chargers. But for the time being, the Broncos are holding their own and have a great chance at winning the division. All this will depend on them maintaining the high level of play that they have had so far, and Nix continuing to grow and lead this unit. Bo Nix had his doubters coming into the league, but his rookie play quickly put these critics on notice. Despite this, some are still not believers in his talent, ability to win, or his leadership. But could this be the season where the conversation around this young quarterback finally begins to change? If Nix and the Broncos continue on the same path they have been forging for some time now, there might be some uncomfortable conversations to be had down the line. But what do you think this team's ceiling is? And do you think they are already Super Bowl contenders? Let us know what you think in the comments below.